Hello. Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys? Trying to get the Instagram folks set up and ready to go. Come on in. I want to talk about being a multi-dimensional leader, woman, and what that means. So let me get this set up. Um, and we'll go into it. So good to see you. Some of my students are back on. We just finished our DTA chat, our mentoring session. So it's definitely um, good to have you guys back on as we talk about this. It's something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, but it's been crazy, busy. And I had to kind of gather my thoughts. But this is something that you guys ask about all the time in terms of like managing life. And then the ladies specifically ask a lot about, the three M's, which is like marriage, ministry, and money, and how that all works. So I wanted to take some time and talk about that. So I think Instagram is ready. It looks a little funky here, but I think we are almost there. Let me move the phone up. Sorry, y'all. I had a call for church, a counseling session before this, so I didn't have a chance to set it up and check it. But we are good. So good to see all of you guys. You just discovered this Ambivert, huh? So you must have read my post. I just did a post about myself and what these last several weeks have been like for me. And in it, I talked about being an ambivert and what that means. So we will go over that and just kind of share. I think what I'm learning is that you have seasons where you got to reassess and like make a new decision about how you want things to work and how you want life to look like. So I'm just going to be sharing kind of the 5 points that I shared in my recent post that I did. And then I will take your questions. So we're talking about being a multidimensional leader. What does being multidimensional mean? I believe that most people are multidimensional in that there's other dimensions of us beyond what you see. So most of you guys know me as a trainer, speaker, coach, teacher, preacher, apostle, prophet, right? Those are like 4 different dimensions just right there. But generally we know people based on the presentation they give us, what we know them as in the moment. However, when it comes to multidimensional leadership, we're looking at someone and we can see that they lead in various areas, right? Now, there's something that I call self-leadership, which our mentees are working through, our oldest students in our DTA, which is the ability to lead yourself. So all of us are leaders to begin with, right? But that is the way you lead yourself is going to impact the way that you're able to lead other people. So mastering your own self, your patterns, your emotions, your cognitions, all of those things helps you be a healthier multi-dimensional leader. But then once you master that, right, there's some people who once again may lead at work, right, over a department or in corporate. They may have their own business. At the same time, they might be leading a department at a church or a cell group. I don't want to take it really high level in terms of like the hats I wear, which there are some of you guys who are like CEOs of businesses. You are visionaries of organizations. You are mothers or fathers. You are wives or husbands. All those aspects of you obviously require the ability to lead well. They require organization. They require balance. And one of the things that I like to say is that if the Lord has made you, right, or has given you the influence and the ability to be a multidimensional leader, that means that there's also tools and skill sets that you have to develop in order to not burn out. You have to develop in order to flourish. You have to develop in order to do this for a long period of time. So one thing about people that are multidimensional leaders is that they've really been like that all their lives. It's not, you can grow in a certain skill set, but generally you will see that these are people who've been able to manage multiple plates at once since they were young, right? They may have been involved in sports, then they're involved, in the debate club. They're also involved in church. They're also able to do really well as a child, right, at home with, obeying their parents. You have they're kind of, we call them the 3 A's. They might be artistic, academic, and athletic, and you just kind of see these multi dimensions in them. Now, while that's really great, and for a lot of people, it's very innate or self-born, part of who they are, their genetic, their temperament. What people that are multidimensional struggle with is balance, right? Because not only are they generally can carry multiple plates or wear multiple hats or whatever you want to call it, they are usually very good at it, right? And so they are pretty good at whatever they put their hands in. And so what happens is that then people demand a lot from them. They're the people that everybody wants on their team. They're the people that, at work, everybody wants them to help, like it's because they're just naturally good at it. And so what happens when a multidimensional leader, a multidimensional person doesn't have a clear core, and it always comes back to this with me, right, of identity. They build their identity around their performance. They build their identity around their functions. They build their identity around accolades, right? Remember, they can do multiple things. People are cheering them on all the time. And if they don't know that if they stopped doing all that stuff, they would still be loved, they would still be valuable, they will build a whole persona and identity around this ability to be the superwoman, the ability to be, the guy who can do all those different things. And so with being multidimensional, we've talked about it, it's innate. You can grow some skills where you could be more multidimensional. We talked about how it is a skill set, but most people are just naturally good at these things. And we're talking about the downfall of not being able to balance well, especially when your identity is built around how people see you, when your identity is built around your performance, when your identity is built around what people are going to think, right? When your identity is built around how, the world views you. So if you're going to be multidimensional, if you're going to lead and wear multiple hats and cope in that way, you have to learn who you are outside of those things. And so one of the first things I want to talk about is learning your seasons of rest, learning the seasons where you're supposed to say no. So one of the things that I talked about in the post that I shared on my other socials, I don't think we've gotten it up on Instagram yet. Maybe I did, but I talked about how in this season, and this is a clue for me, when I start feeling like disgruntled internally or discontented, I feel off kilter when something is off balance, and things could be looking great on the outside. Church is functioning, business is doing great, and part of the issue with multidimensional people too is that sometimes we're really high achievers. And so we put a lot of false expectations on ourselves. So you got to deal with that as well. You got to figure out why. Why do I really worry about making sure that I'm handling everything? Like, what does it mean if something is not done perfectly or proficiently? Because once again, if your identity is built around that, you're going to crumble. And so one of the things that I said is that in this season, when I started feeling like that, I was like, okay, I need to assess everything that is on my plate. Like everything that I'm doing, it might be good. It may not be God. It may not even be beneficial for this season. So what are the things that I'm doing? And I realized that it's okay. And I've always been like this, right? To say no to things that are not necessarily pushing you in the direction that you're in that season. Once again, people may naturally demand it of you. Everybody wants to pick my brain. Everybody wants to send me, this long message so I can help them with stuff. But sometimes I have to be like, I'm sorry, no, send you back maybe to your pastor or send you back to a different coach, because I have to be clear, one, about who I'm serving. So being multidimensional requires clarity about who you're serving in that season. Who are the most important people that I'm serving in this season? For me, off the top, my children and my husband, like that's top, right? So if I'm doing things and it's starting to cause me stress, right, with what I want to do for my children, how I want to help my children, I need to assess all those things. The next thing the people that I'm responsible for are my church members, are the people that we develop, the people that are called to Legacy Center Church, right? So if I'm doing all these other things and I'm not able to do what I need to do, not everything that I want to do, because sometimes there are things that I want to do that are not beneficial. But if I'm not doing everything that I need to do, then I need to reassess that. The other people that I'm called to are the people that are in our mentorship programs, the people that are taking courses from us, right? Our customers, our clients, right? Our Ask Dr.Faith family. If I'm not able to be present, if I'm not able to provide quality information that transforms their life, then I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So if people come to me and they don't fit in any of those categories, they're most likely going to get a no. Like they're just not going to get a no. You can watch a YouTube video. You can watch me on Instagram. You can read one of my books, right? You can purchase it. But in this season, you're going to get a no. No, I am sorry. I probably cannot read through your long dream. I'm sorry. I probably cannot offer this I just can't, right? Because when I start overextending myself in these other areas, the 4 categories of people that I'm called to serve in this area is going to fall. I'm not going to be fruitful, and I'm not going to be a good steward for what God is calling me to in this season. So you've got to identify who are your people in this season. That is important. When you are clear about those people, then you have to say no to the other people. And there is nothing wrong with saying no, unless you think that you're a fixer, unless you have a savior complex and you want to save everybody and fix everybody. No. And you got to be okay with knowing that if I can't do it, someone else can do it. And they may be able to do it way better than me because maybe they're managing their plates a little bit more. So in this season, I'm learning to say no to a lot more things, right? It could be a good thing, right? So sometimes I have to say no to things that may bring in more money in my business. I may have to say no to a speaking engagement that's going to increase visibility, or, jumping on another social platform that's going to grow my audience. If it's causing me to be off kilter, if it's causing me to not be balanced, it is okay to say no. You got to steward your no's well so that you're growing proportionately. So you're not unbalanced, so that one area is not doing better than another area in your life, right? So that leads to the next point that I shared. When you're multidimensional, being clear about the 4 priorities that your brain can manage and the 4 top things that only you can do, right? So for me, there are certain things, like we have someone that cleans our house, but there's some certain things like deep cleaning things or organizational things that I have to do. So that's important to me in this season. I'm like, no, I don't like that. That's not organized. So that means that if anything is going to take away from that, like in this season, it's probably going to be a no, right? Our kids are starting to play sports. I have waited for this day. That's why I drive the truck that I drive since I was like in 10th grade. I was like, I want 5 boys and they're all going to play sports. We have 2 kids, but they're going to play sports. And so that means if anything is getting in their schedules, right? If it's keeping me from being able to be present, that is a priority in this season. So for me, I work in 4s. My brain can manage 4 dimensions, right? For you, it might be 2. For you, it might be 3. For you, it might be 6. And you are able to manage all those things. But when those 4 dimensions are not functioning well for me, it is a clear message that something is off kilter. The next thing that I realize, being multidimensional, is that I have to spend more time I have to spend less time reading, less time assessing, and that might not be a bad thing, right? But for people who are in business, for people that are in leadership, there is always something new. There is always something that is being developed. There is a new technology. There is a new app. There is a new method. And for me in this season, while some seasons it's like get in it, study, figure it out, the more I read that stuff, the more I want to apply it. I'm like, maybe I should be doing this. Maybe I should be doing that. So what's going to work for me in this season is saying, it might not be the season right now to be studying the most innovative whatever. It's probably not the season to figure out what are the most, up and coming businesses, because I know myself. And that's the other thing. If you're going to be multidimensional, you have to have clarity about your strengths, your weaknesses, your proclivities, right? Are you impulsive? Do you tend to jump and want to do the next thing? Do you tend to be indecisive? You've got to know all those things about yourself. Inner work, inner understanding of how you function is key. So for me right now, no, thank you. I just can't, because you know why? I'm a producer. That's one of my skill sets. I'm going to want to produce something. If I read that something is working, something can help. So because I cannot do that, I cannot add any more to my plate. That is something that I've had to remove. And so being multidimensional is not just about saying no or removing things that are bad. Sometimes it's the really good things so that you could be really excellent in a particular area or in a particular season. All right. All those things distract me. They also drain my energy. I start thinking about things that I should be giving my brain power to in other areas. Another thing that I realized, and I've shared this with you guys before, is that I've got to go to bed early, right? I've got to drink enough water. I know this seems like, simple. Everybody says it. I'm answering questions today based on this topic that you guys are always asking me about. But these two things, especially going to bed early for me or having enough sleep, it doesn't have to be early. It just has to be at least 7 hours of sleep, does wonders for me. I have enough energy to exercise. I can think better. I am less groggy. I am less snappy. Like, it does wonders. Some people are like, team hustle, 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 no sleep. And there were seasons where I didn't get any sleep, especially when we were first building our business. But I made a decision, like, these first 3 months, like, we're swimming, we're not sinking. So I got very little sleep. It worked in that season, but it cannot work in every single season. So you've got to figure out, okay, if I am not exercising, if I am groggy, if I am snappy, there's probably something that's missing. And so that's now a priority. So if there are shows that I really want to watch, I really do want to watch TV. I bless all y'all who got your shows and you watch them faithfully. I don't even know what that means, right? I will have seasons where I may have extra time and I can watch, like, catch up on the Netflix show or something. But I know people, like, every Thursday night, they got their show. I'm like, I'm jealous. But my husband and I have this thing about wasting, like, our strength and our energy. Watching movies, watching shows, for the men, playing video games, like, that's nice. But if there are other things that you can be doing in this season that's going to help you to be more productive, why not use that now? Like, you can work now, retire later, and you'll be able to watch all the shows that you want to watch. But that's a priority. So I may not be able to stay up as late as I would like because I need to get sleep instead of watching that show, right? The fifth one, and then I will take your questions about being multidimensional and leadership and what that looks like, is planning time away, right? So for me, timing a time away is not always necessarily going somewhere, but I am a creative at the core. So part of being multidimensional for me, a lot of people are either right brain or left brain. I am pretty equally right and left brain. I'm not as scientific and mathematic, but I'm very, like, logical. I'm very, like, systems, processes, steps, times. Like, I get frustrated when those things are not clear. What do you do first, second, third, right? That is right brain functioning. Left brain is the creative side. So obviously that's why my hair is different every single week. This is the artistic, creative side of me, how I dress, fashion, art, singing, writing, creating. Those are huge parts of me. And I've realized over the years, when I am not doing that, like, one of the things I've decided, because it's been just so busy, I get up, I just put on my clothes and go. I'm like, no. Like, I like to do my makeup. I like to put on a dress. I know I work for myself, but those things speak into my creativity. So now I have to figure out, how do I make that happen at least 3 times a week? I'm not going to say 5 times a week because we're getting kids out the door and all those different things, right? But it's important to my function, and it's important to how well I function and how well I am present for other people. So that's important, right? If singing is huge, right? Going away and writing, being creative, you got to create those spaces, especially if it is part of what makes you multi-dimensional. And you don't have to do it in big spurts. So sometimes I will just write a blog. Sometimes I would, my mentees and the folks around me kid me because they're like, Dr. Faith, our copy editor, she's like, you have every post is a book, right? Like you can write books off of your posts, right? But even doing that, even processing out loud today with what I'm teaching you and what I've shared, that is a way to help bring me back to who I really am, which then helps me feel alive. So you know that you're operating in purpose when you feel alive, when you don't feel drained, you feel meaningful with what you bring to the table. So you've got to create those spaces. You may be in a season where you're not able to go away on writing retreats, but you just do it once a day or 3 times a week, or you're not able to sing on the worship team anymore, but you make sure that 2 times a week you spend time in worship with the Father. Like, you have to create these outlets that allow you to stay sharp and allow you to stay multidimensional. And so in there, I was talking about, I've learned that I became extremely frustrated when I didn't create space for the things that fuel me, right? Like I said, like beauty. Those things are important to me. Art, right? I miss going to Broadway shows. I miss traveling. I miss, being in different nations, architecture, all that stuff really, really fuels me. Interior design. I had to give up a section of my house for our kids, which I would use to like express, myself. But you've got to find other ways to be that person. I shared in there that I'm no longer an extrovert. I believe that I'm more an ambivert. An ambivert is a person who their introversion and extroversion are pretty equal. So I do well with people. I love people. I get fueled by people. But before, when that was like what drove me, right? I do people in doses now, right? And I think it's because I'm in a talking profession. We are in a serving profession, coaching profession. We're always pouring out. And over time, I've been like, I love, love, love people. I don't think that will ever change. But I also love times away. I love quietness. And I think it's maybe having children, right? You probably don't have as much of that anymore. And so my personality in that way is changing a little bit. But I want to take your questions. What does it look like to be multidimensional? What does it look like to be an ambivert? Or what does it look like to balance multiple hats? And this Thursday night, it's a free webinar. You don't even have to be interested in coaching and mentoring. I will be talking about how we have built our mentoring programs, our coaching programs, how I've balanced all of this throughout the last 8 years to build a 7-figure business. And it's really just going to be like down home, personal. I'm going to answer your questions. I want to make it really tangible. So that's a free webinar. The link is in the bio or in the description. And then those that are signing up for our life coaching and mentoring course, the payment plan is ending March 31st. So you want to get on that. If you want to become a certified coach, if you want to become a certified mentor, if you want to learn how to build your business, if you want to learn how to create courses, speaking engagements, consulting, how do you grow out of that? We just discuss all of that in that course. And then this weekend, if you're single, we have our singles conference going on at our church. It's in the description. You can watch online as well as be on site. All right, let's take your questions. Yeah, me time. I don't have a lot of it, but it's great when I can get some of it. All right. How do you know how many dimensions you can handle? I think it's really trial and error, right? Like when you feel peace, when you feel productive, when you feel joy, right? Assess how many things am I doing right now? I'm doing 3 things or 4 things or taking care of 3 areas or 4 years, right? Okay, make a mental note. When I'm dealing 4 or 5 things, I'm good. When I add a 6th one, I start falling apart. I start missing appointments. I start mismanaging, right? Just assess yourself. Once again, self-leadership and being someone who's multidimensional requires a lot of internal checks. It requires an awareness of who you are as a person. So you learn your boundaries, you learn your limits by being cognizant of who you are and what you carry. All right. Crystal said, this live is awesome. You're welcome. I'm so glad it's beneficial to you. I'm giving you guys my life, what I'm processing, what I'm working through. But I do know that a lot of people have questions in this area. So I wanted to go live and share this. Please use a hashtag Q, like a little Q at the beginning of your question, so that I know that you actually have a question. and I can answer it for you. Uh, let's see, single fruit. Yeah, get my energy from being alone. Okay, single mom of 4, need help. All right, we are gonna go ahead and block that user because they may really need help, or we get scammers sometimes. So guys, let me just use this opportunity to say, like, if anybody posts under my comments to give them money or that I've started an orphanage, people steal our identities all the time. It's not me. All right, don't give them your money. All right. All right, let's see. What to do if you haven't been reading or praying as much, but desire to, but trying to find balance, and how to become a finisher for creatives and not. Okay, so let's answer the first question. Do audio, right? When you're driving, listen to tapes. When you're cleaning, listen to audio books. Get the Bible on audio on YouTube. It's free. Put it in your head. Clean and listen to it. You have to learn how to kind of think creatively when you don't have a lot of time, right? So if you're not able to sit down and read books, right, put it in your ear. A lot of things are on Audible right now, and that's what I would do to help balance my time. How to become a finisher for creatives and not hopping all over the place. Don't start anything new until you finish the previous thing. Get a coach, get a friend that can hold you accountable, that when you start something, you say, this is what I'm doing. If you see me jumping to the next thing, please pull me aside, and then listen to them when they hold you accountable. But you want to be a finisher. You don't want to be a starter. You want to be a finisher. So work on one thing at a time and then add things on top of that. Good question. Let's see. I'm an introvert with an extrovert assignments. I get my strength back from having me time. Yes, the introverts love having their me time. Let me just say this: introverts love people. People think that someone's an introvert, they don't love people. No, 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 no. If you don't love people, you're probably wounded. You're not an introvert, right? Introverts love people, but they just get energy from being by themselves, and then they can do people in dosages. They love watching people, they love listening to people, and then they pull back. So it's not the same. They'll be like, oh, I don't do people because I'm an introvert. No, no, no. That means there's probably some rejection issues or some things that you got to work through there. All right. How can you balance your goals when you're full-time employed and have husband and kids? What's a way to do it? Well, what are your goals? And then you got to break down your goals to short-term goals, meaning what I can do right now, and then long-term goals. So that question is kind of broad. Like if you gave me a specific goal, I can help you break it down in terms of how to balance it. But goals are also seasonal. Like the goal may work in this season, but it may not work. So I may have a goal, to start, an interior design company. Like it just doesn't make sense in this season. So I put that goal and I put it to the side. And when I have more time, when I've made more money, when I've learned more stuff, I can do that goal. So sometimes we get frustrated with goals, but it's not the right season for the goal. So you want to assess, is this even something I should be working towards in this season? Do I have the time, energy, money, and experience? Those are the things that I use to assess if I should be doing something. All right. Let's see. Instagram, you can post your questions here as well. I don't know if that is a question there or what. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I love folks, but if I get, okay, awesome. Yeah, so I just, wanted to get on here and just share that. I know people ask me all the time, how do I balance stuff? At what point did you know this is the time I need to say no, especially when you're used to doing it all, so no burnout. So I've always been a hound at my time, but especially when I went from having like a mentoring program to starting a business, right? I knew then that because before or when you do mentoring, and I'll give you guys this tidbit, people call you, you talk to them for an hour, you pull out your heart and all of that stuff, right? For me, I need to see change. Like if I'm going to give you all this time, I need to see fruit. But when I started to add responsibilities to my plate, when I got married, right? I wasn't going to be on the phone at 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock with my girlfriends. Like we just don't do that. I'm that's time with my family. When I had kids, I'm not going to be able to, just pick up and travel to this place and that place. So as different responsibilities were added, that shifted, right? What I needed to respond to. And so with each responsibility, my nose got a little stronger and they got a little tighter. I got clearer about who I was supposed to be serving. But when people, for me, like see that you have a certain gift or whatever, they can pull on you. And this goes back to the other stuff. If you're not clear about your identity, you will give, because maybe you're a fixer. Maybe you love it that everybody pulls on you. Maybe you love it that you're getting attention, but you will burn out. And so I had to set a real clear standard, even as a young prophetic person, because people would really literally email me and be like, what is the Lord saying? And initially I'd be like, this is the word of the Lord, blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not a vending machine. What is the Lord saying to you? And I had to learn that doing that allowed me to be more present for the people that I was called to serve, instead of just giving to everybody that weren't necessarily connected to my assignment and what I was doing. All right. How to trust in the reuniting of family and not feel scared or anxiety. Just hope for everything to be well and not fail. Yeah. So I'm not sure the dynamics of your family. I'm not sure why you're reuniting and why you weren't together before. I would just really pray into it. I would talk about expectations about the meeting and then go from there. All right. I hate to mismanage my time. I'm trying to be productive to the best of my ability. Yeah, so I'm really big on time. One of my strengths is time management, but sometimes that causes me stress, right? So if we're going to be late, if we are not doing something on time. So even with that, I'm learning now, my husband's helping me to figure out the things that it's okay, right? Like it's okay to not be as strict on the time. It's okay, if it's fun, or if, especially when we're on vacation, because I plan our vacations, y'all. I'd be like, on Monday, we're going to be doing this, on Tuesday, but we're on vacation. It doesn't matter if we don't get to do it today. It doesn't matter if we get, so you got to figure out, if you're very time oriented, what really matters and what at the end of the day is not going to matter, and what is taking away from you being able to enjoy in the moment. Okay. I run a business, homeschool my kids. I'm a homemaker and started a ministry. Each day looks different. I feel guilty when I drop balls. I'm not the create a daily schedule person. How can I manage my time better? I have no clue how you're going to do it if you're not going to create a daily schedule. If you don't create a physical one, you at least need to have one in your head, right? I have, maybe other people can help, because for me, I'd be like, okay, I homeschool my kids, and I help homeschool ladies all the time, because they are really creative and very free flowing and all of this stuff. And a lot of them, want to do business. A lot of them want to do ministry. And I'm like, okay, what time do you homeschool your kids? Your kids need to wake up a certain time. School needs to end a certain time. Once you end school, do you need to pick up the house and clean up during that time? We do. You got to have a schedule. I don't care if it's not written out. If you homeschool until 2, maybe 2 to 4 is cleaning, right? And then you have dinner. And then after that, you work your business. Or maybe you do business on Tuesday and you do ministry on Thursday. It's called chunking your time. But if you don't, you're going to go forward very slowly, unless somebody else has another formula of how to do it without taking authority over your time. And time is like money, right? And so how we steward our time it increases our ability to step into realms of more or further responsibility. So God doesn't just look at how you manage your finances. He looks at how you manage your time. And so, for example, like I missed 2 appointments this week, not missed them. I went the wrong day because I wasn't going to miss it. I went on Monday, and that's when I was like, oh, I got too much on my plate. Like I'm normally not a person who gets that wrong. So I'm not stewarding my time well. I didn't miss it, but I was early, right? And I could have been doing something else during that time. So I have to take a step back. I need to look at my priorities, and I have to create a schedule. If you like, I don't write it down in a book because I'll lose the book, because that's just how my brain is. But my phone is my scheduler, and I have a really good memory. So I visualize. It helps to be a seer, right? I visualize the calendar. I can place where things are supposed to go. But really, that's the only way if you're going to be multifunctional, right? So I've always worked from home. I chose to work from home because I wanted to raise my kids. I wanted them to not have to go to daycare, right? And also learning when your kids should be socialized, right? And this is not the homeschool thing, but some people felt so much pressure to keep their kids at home, but everything was falling apart. And once they moved that thing, they were able to step into purpose. They're able to step into other things. Or it might be a season where I focus on this aspect of the ministry, but not this aspect of the ministry. But you got to chunk your time. You got to have a visual way of how you're conducting your life. All right. I definitely hear people saying they're burnt out because they're doing too much. Yeah. I was multidimensional for 20 years. A year and a half ago, I just became overwhelmed. I burnt out. I became introvert and isolated. It changes me. I feel like I lost myself. I'm fighting daily to get back to myself. I feel like I lost my passion. I was told I was a prophet. I'm trying to just find myself. How do you recover? How do you start over? Yeah, start with, what do I like to do now? Not what did I like to do? Like, what is important to me now, right? So I just shared earlier, I was like, you know what? I like having my makeup on in the morning. I like making sure that I get to exercise 3 times a week. Those things make me feel alive. What is hindering me from doing those things right now? What do I need to remove out of my life, right? Assess, what do you need now? What makes you feel alive now? And really, people that are multidimensional don't have to burn out. They burn out because they didn't know how to manage their life in the moment, right? And like I said, what do I need to say no to? What do I need to say yes to? If people told me I'm a prophet, do I think I'm a prophet? Do I need to go get training so I can get clarity and understand? Which, shameless plug, that training is coming up in August for our School of the Prophets. Registration will open in May. But start with where you're at now. What matters to you now? What's most important now? And create space for it and grow from there. Let's see. Aya said pregnancy brain is still active in me. I know, and that baby's 6 months. Do you have a program on managing time for people that feel like they're all over the place? So our mentoring program, DTA, our students do have a whole training section on managing their destiny. And part of managing their destiny is managing time. They get to that at the end of the year. Do I have a program? Maybe I'll create a course. That's an idea. Maybe I'll do a pre-recorded course or something. I don't have anything outside of our mentorship program on managing time and all of that, but people do ask me about it all the time. This is helping me. Good, Fontella. All right, schedules are needed. At least set timers on the phone. Yes, at least do those basics. For those that are just jumping on, we're talking about wearing multiple hats. What does it mean to balance? What does it mean to, be multidimensional? So, can you operate in one of your dimensions in the wrong season? If so, how do you know or recognize when it's time to pick it or let it go? Yeah, people will throw you in seasons all the time, especially when you're gifted. So we talked about me being multidimensional. Oftentimes people are also very gifted. And so people will say, I think you should be doing it this season. And because you do it and it's easy and you may be even liking it, one of the ways that you know you're in the wrong season or in the wrong function, right, is that there is no ease, there is no joy, even in dealing with the challenges that come up with it, and then there is no fruit. Anytime the Holy Spirit is on your life, you should be bearing good fruit, right? If you serve people, they should be responding and saying their lives are being transformed. If you have a job at work, there should be some communication about how excellent you're doing. So there should be fruit on your life that helps you understand what season you're in. If there's no more fruit because you're agitated and you're angry, either you need more time, either you need to rest, or you're in the wrong season. All right, I'll take like 2 more. What is the root to people pleasing and not being able to say no efficiently? Rejection, right? We're worried about what people are going to say about us. And so we would rather say yes than say no, even if it's detrimental to us. We're afraid of how people perceive us. So we're always saying yes. So you got to go back to what I started with today. Identity, who you are. How do you get identity? How do you get clarity about who you are, where you're going, what the plan is for your life? Who do you get validity from? Who gives you confirmation? It all should be God. And then it will be easier to say no. It's easier to set boundaries. Let's see. How to mute tabs to get more rest. I don't know what tabs are. So if someone can explain what that is, I can help you maybe. How do you let your pastor know that you're in a season that they are saying that you are in a season that they're saying it's time for? Well, if they're saying it's time for it, then that should be easy, right? You say, I agree. If you guys have a disagreement on whether maybe they think you're in a season and you're not, or you think you're in a season you're not, you can come up with a plan to say, okay, when will we know that we're in, both of us are on the same page? I set my alarm yesterday. I still missed an important meeting. God, grace. Is it okay to time from church to develop areas in your life that the church doesn't address? I don't think that you should take time from church, but you could take time from serving if you do it properly, right? If you give the people that you're serving plenty of time, plenty of notice, especially if you are burnt out or if you feel like you are to grow in another way. But we should never take time from community. We should not take time from fellowship, right? But there are things that we do sometimes that we can say, in this season, I'm not able to do, or I can't serve in this area because I'm focusing on another season, and there shouldn't be a problem with that. Let's see. How do you let your pastor know you are okay? I read that. Is there peace, joy, or fruit? Exactly. Can we use your certificate as a life coach in other marketplaces? Yes. So one of the things we talk about in our life coaching course is how to niche down. And so we go over all the different niches that a generalized life coach can go into further. And you could take it into business, voice lessons, women, ministry, whatever. So you can then take your certification and niche down in your particular area of interest and then go from there. How do you manage full-time motherhood and business? I feel like I can't balance it out. So that's what I've been talking about today. I chunk my time. I am a hound about my time. I assign purpose to my days. I know what I need to do when. I get help where I can get help. So things like getting someone to help me clean, things like getting someone to watch the kids. I wasn't always able to do that when I started out, and but over time, you ask for help. It's okay to ask for help when you have a lot of things going on. So there's a lot that I wouldn't be able to do if I didn't have some of the help. But I also try to be really organized about what season I'm in and what I'm supposed to be doing in that season. So, but my children are always a priority. And so if anything is taking away from them, I have to figure out how to balance. Like computer tabs, all things on your mind. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, so once again, people that are multidimensional can have a lot of tabs internally, but it's going to hinder you. You're not going to be like some people get like a buzz from having all these things to do. Like we get our identity from saying we're busy. Well, busyness can be an idol, right? Because we get our identity from people seeing that we're so active, we're so busy, we're always producing, but you're not really moving forward. And so you have to know that the focus on 4 tabs, like I said, right? 4 or 5 areas that you are strong in, and those are the tabs that you have open. And sometimes it might be an event going on. Last week I had a lot going on. You may have multiple tabs, but you need to find time to reset. Spend time in worship, spend time breathing, spend time outside, and figure out what the goal is. Every week, reset. And sometimes every night, reset and say, this is what I'm going to do tomorrow. These are the things that I need to get done. You can write it down. You can have a mental note, but you need to reset yourself, just like your computer needs to be reset as well, or you will burn out. Busyness can be an idol. Yes. Transition from corporate entrepreneurship and dealing with motherhood, I definitely had to find balance and block out time to deal with priorities. Exactly. And busy doesn't always mean we're being productive. Not at all. Not at all. All right, let's see. Bless you guys. Hopefully that was helpful. So tomorrow night, free webinar. I'm going to be telling my story of how we built our company, how I managed some of these things, and I will be sharing about life coaching and mentoring for those who have questions, those that are trying to decide if they want to enroll in our course that's coming up, the certification, that's 6 weeks. So I'd love to see you guys on there. I'd love to chat with you guys tomorrow night. So have a great afternoon. Find a place to organize your life, organize your thinking, put some things in place to help you to be productive and making sure that you're giving God the glory out of every aspect of your life. God bless you. Look forward to talking with you soon. Bye-bye.